runs and manages the super speciality Lilavati Hospital in Mumbai. The trust is a public charitable trust which was set up on 5th July 1978 by my late grandfather Shri Kirtilal Manilal Mehta. At that time, he only appointed 3 permanent trustees for life, that is Kishore Mehta and Charu Mehta, both being my parents, and Rekha Sheth, my aunt. Mr. Kishore and Mrs. Charu Mehta were responsible in securing the land for the hospital, in construction process of the hospital, and bringing Lilavati Hospital to its present position of great repute. When the family of Kishore Mehta found out that hundreds of crores of rupees were siphoned out from a public trust fund of Lilavati, they started a crusade against the trustees and the heads of departments. Since they became a thorn in their eyes, their ingress and ingress was illegally stopped. After taking legal advice of senior counsels, it was clear that the family of Kishore Mehta's entry could not be stopped in the hospital, as we were the immediate family of the late settler, that is my late grandfather. This being a public charitable hospital, and this is definitely not a private fiefdom of certain trustees. Since the last 3 years, the criminal trio of Prabodh Mehta, his son Chetan Mehta, and Prabodh's younger brother Rashmi Mehta have completely hijacked the hospital in a novel way by forming the subcommittee. It is ironical to state that these 3 very people constitute the subcommittee. There is no provision whatsoever in the original trust deed for the subcommittee. The subcommittee has taken absolute and total control of the hospital and made the board of trustees practically redundant. The subcommittee controls the finance, purchase of medicines, purchase of medical equipment, the HRD department, the EDP department, just to mention a few. The subcommittee is a modus operandi and the vehicle used to hijack hundreds of crores from the trust by the trio and certain heads of department. Since the family of Kishore Mehta is the only barrier to their nefarious activities, the trio are leaving absolutely no stones unturned and are resorting to every single desperate measure to remove the family of Kishore Mehta from the hospital. Let me throw some light on who is Prabodh, who is Rashmi, and who is Chetan. Prabodh and Rashmi are the brothers of my father Kishore Mehta. They were earlier appointed as term trustees for 5 years by their eldest brother, the late Vijay K. Mehta. And they were removed as trustees again by Vijay Mehta on the grounds that they were unfit to act as a trustee. In fact, this would come as a shock and surprise to you that when they were appointed as trustees, they did not even bother to attend a single meeting of Board of Trustees in the hospital. They were again reappointed in 2007 for obvious reasons. Prabodh, being a non-resident Indian, is convicted on offences of fraud, forgery, money laundering, and sentenced to 6 months imprisonment by a Belgian court. The monies involving of this crime are over a staggering amount of 170 crores. As per the Bombay Public Trust Act and the trust deed, if anyone is convicted, he is fit to be a trustee, unfit to be a trustee. Chetan is the son of Prabodh Mehta. The lesser said about Chetan, the better. He is an absolute surrogate trustee appointed by the late Vijay Mehta. He has been totally and absolutely responsible in siphoning away crores of rupees of trust monies in concert with various heads of department, that is Tejas Shroff, Sanjay Kapadia, Paresh Parmar, Dr. Trivedi, who is the CEO, and Shivram Parab. I would like to draw your attention, and it is pertinent to point out that Chetan has been convicted for bribing government and judicial officers and misappropriating monies of laborers, and he has been accorded a jail sentence in the state of Israel, in the city of Tel Aviv. This fact has been deliberately concealed from the Board of Trustees. The Honorable High Court has expedited the investigation and set out the investigation time frame. The next assault broad daylight at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The said Niket Mehta was seriously injured. The latest assault being the assault on my parents, my dad and my mother, and my younger brother Prashant Mehta. Mehta has filed an anticipatory bail application before the sessions judge. The learned session judge has accorded him a more than just a small family dispute between two warring brothers or two warring sections. This is a dispute, privately held business, or a private fiefdom of some trustees like Chetan who would like them to operate this hospital to be. I will now pass it to my younger brother Prashant to throw some more light on the trio and unveil the harrowing and traumatizing saga of the physical attack by Chetan Mehta and his uncle Rashmi Mehta. Thank you.
As my brother mentioned, Chetan sends us a letter stating that he would implement a resolution debarring our entry with or without police assistance. It was a direct illegal, it was a threat of illegal force which was directly mentioned on letter which we replied. After this, we went to the hospital, and to our utter shock, there were about 20 to 25 goons or wrestlers or security, you may call it, which was at the entrance, and they refrained our entry into the hospital. There was an officer from the Bandra police station who refused to participate and to do anything. He was obviously acting at the behest of Chetan Mehta and Rashmi Mehta, and started harassing us and saying that we are not trustees. I mentioned to him that there are court orders which recognize us as trustees of the trust. After this, the goons allowed us, after a lot of altercation and commotion, to go on the third floor where the boardroom is located. Just before entering, there were the same goons again who started pushing, intimidating, manhandling my father, who is a senior citizen, a heart patient, who's suffering from a serious spine issue as well, and my mother as well. And they manhandled.
Appointed as a permanent trustee by my late father under the trust deed dated 5th July 1978. Myself, my wife and my sister are the only 3 permanent trustees who are appointed by my late father. My son Prashant has described you exactly how the assault has happened. I will go further. After facing manhandling, assault and tremendous injustice, we finally attended the board meeting of 19th August at about 3:10 p.m. During the course of the meeting, we found that the actual agenda for the meeting of 19th August, which was given to my wife, Mrs. Charu Mehta, was completely different from the other agenda given to other Yes Men trustees. In short, there were two agendas for the meeting. The second agenda was projected as note for discussion only, not for circulation, and as draft resolution and discussions thereon. In fact, it is actually draft minutes with pre-decided discussions, pre-contemplated deliberations, predetermined decisions, prejudged majority, and pre-decided passing of resolutions. Moreover, certain items and issues were not even mentioned in the agenda given to Mrs. Charu Mehta. Obviously, this was concealed from us. We were fortunate to obtain the original papers of the second agenda from one of the trustees present there. On perusing the same, we were aghast and shocked to learn that all the resolutions were decided well in advance before the meeting took place. In other words, the said meeting was a complete farce, stage managed, and a complete illegality. This is the way Lilavati's trust, unfortunately, is working at present. It is extremely serious that it is a criminal breach of trust that different documents are given to different trustees in the meeting of a public charitable trust. Chetan Mehta, who has called for the meeting, is obviously responsible for the same, along with his father Prabodh and uncle Rashmi, along with the trust lawyer Mr. Ranjit Wagani. Suppression of such documents is highly serious and tantamounts to forgery, fabrication, cheating, breach of trust. By suppressing the other agenda from Mrs. Charu Mehta, and because of sheer brute majority, the trio of Prabodh, Rashmi and Chetan was successful in passing a blatantly illegal resolution of appointing Rashmi's son, Bhavin, as a permanent trustee in the 19th August board meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I must clarify you that the power of appointing a trustee lies only with the permanent trustees as appointed by my father in the year 1978, when this trust was formed. The board of trustees has no right whatsoever to appoint any trustee, be the trustee, a term trustee for 5 years, or a permanent trustee. That's 11. So Bhavin's appointment was beyond 11, number one. Number two, the board of trustees, better read as the subcommittee, has no right whatsoever to appoint any trustee, list the permanent trustee. But this is the way how the trust is being functioned. The board of trustees, better said subcommittee, has no right, as I said again, to appoint a permanent trustee. As per the trustee, the right of appointing permanent trustee or term trustees exclusively lies with the permanent trustees only. That's myself, Charu Kishore Mehta, my wife, and my sister Rekha Sheth. The appointment of Bhavin is totally ultra vires the trustee.